What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So today, a little bit different view for you. I'm going to talk about differences in ranges and especially range lighting. So I am shooting at the Camp Perry Open this weekend. If you remember, I shot it last year, but I shot it rifle only. This year I'm actually shooting rifle and pistol, and so I remembered from last year that the lighting was kind of weird at Camp Perry. I couldn't remember exactly how it was, and I'd only experienced it on the rifle side and not on the pistol side. Also, because of COVID last year, it was like you come in for your relay, you shoot your relay, and you leave. No really sitting around figuring out, the differences of the ranges. So this year, what I did was they had scheduled a monthly match last weekend, so the weekend before Camp Perry, for just a regular monthly match. And so what I did was I went to that match last weekend, and then I'm going to Camp Perry Open this weekend. So I'm basically in Ohio 2 weekends in a row. A couple people thought I had flown in last weekend and was going to stay an entire week, but I don't have that much vacation. So last weekend was really about range evaluation and figuring out what the differences between like Anniston and the mall range and like my range here at home were in order to like best prepare for that. Even though it's only a week, it gives me at least an idea and a way to practice. So the thing with Perry is, if you've ever been there, the lighting, like some people say the lighting's the exact same as Anniston. It really is not. Anniston's range has multiple lights across the whole building, from target to target, basically all the way across. There's multiple sets of lights. Camp Perry, there's only 2 sets of lights on each side. There's one directly above the shooters that shines straight down. Basically, I mean, it's like a row light for like large buildings, so it's just one set of lights above the shooters, and then there's a second set of lights at the target that's angled toward the target. Also, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think Camp Perry has lighted faces. If they do, you really can't tell because of how the lighting is hitting the faces. Whereas in Anniston's range, you can tell the faces are lit. And then like the Megalinks I practice on at the mall, you can tell those faces are lit. My target back behind me, I can mostly tell that face is lit, not quite as much just because of how I have the floodlights on it. But Camp Perry, I can't tell if those faces are lit. To me, they almost look like they're not. And you just have the one light shining from above at an angle. It creates this weird line just above the black of a shadow from the face of the target and the lighting. And it also, it's darker between the shooters and the target, and also in the spectator viewing area it's also relatively dark, especially compared to Anniston. So I couldn't really figure out what was going on last year because it had been the first time I had been to that range, and things just weren't working out in general, so I wasn't like too worried about it. But this year I really wanted to figure that out. So while shooting the match, like I had a terrible match last weekend, to be honest. It was my next to lowest match score since shooting pistol, because I only shot pistol because I only have one relay on monthly matches. But my first match where I shot pistol, I believe it was August of last year, I shot like a 5.12, and last weekend I shot a 5.13. Like, super low. I mean, I've been shooting pretty average, at least 5.30s, and getting into the 5.40s sometimes. So it was kind of a disappointment score wise, but I really wasn't, the goal wasn't to have a super great score. It was to figure out the range situation for this coming weekend. So realizing how the lighting was, and it actually makes it super hard to focus on your front sight when the lighting is set up that way because you're almost reaching out of the light, if that makes sense. So your front sight's actually in a darker area than your rear sight, so it's easier to focus on your rear sight and it's easier to focus on the target because it's already brighter. It's a weird combination of things that makes it harder to really focus on your front sight, and so the consistency for the front sight just wasn't there, and it was hard for me to get lined up on the target. So my groups were a lot more spread out, and I was grouping a little bit low because I was over holding. Just a bunch of things went wrong, but as the match progressed, my scores were getting a little more consistent and a little bit higher just by starting to figure out the lighting scenario. So when I got back from that trip last weekend, I decided to try to replicate it here at my home range, and it's a little bit weird figuring out, and I think I may have gone a little bit too dark, but for me, I don't really have, it's either lights are off or on. I don't have adjustable lighting. So what I did in my range in my basement was I ended up turning off one set of lights and unscrewing a couple of bulbs to kind of replicate the lighting that is at Camp Perry. So there's 2 lights behind me and then just lights at the target, so it makes it similar, or a lot more similar than it was before. So I will kind of show you what it looks like with the lights off, kind of like Perry, and then what I normally shoot in with all the lights on, just so you can kind of see the difference. But it was harder to focus on my front sight when I first changed over to this, so it was at least kind of replicating what I was seeing in Perry last weekend. So I'm hoping that this weekend I have a better score result and a little more consistency in my groupings overall. So the main thing to take away from this is every range is going to have its little quirks that really the first couple of times you're on it, you're still figuring those out. And, you know, it's always good to document those in a journal or spreadsheet, whatever you want to use to keep track of those, just to be able to come back, because like Camp Perry, I haven't been there since May of last year, so it's kind of hard to remember exactly what was going on May of last year when I, you know, haven't been shooting at that range. But it's always good to keep notes on your ranges and keep, you know, just keep ideas together for how you can modify your training to make different range conditions for yourself in order to prepare for other matches that you may only have like one chance at, such as like World Cups or Junior Olympics, or going to other like state matches or monthly matches. So definitely keep track of your different ranges and things you can do to change it up at your home range to be prepared. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like, subscribe. If you have any ideas for videos, please let me know down below, and hope you have a great weekend. I will let you know the results for Camp Perry hopefully here soon, and hopefully they're good. So see you later.